I'm short, I'm hairy, and I itch in strange places.
Morgan Webb!
You don't want to rust.
Yeah, but it's already. Anyway, hello and welcome to Xplay.
Today we have driving games, shooting games, hockey games, and a game where you steal people's cars and shoot them in space.
Yes, we have four-wheeling in ATV Off-Road Fury 3, and we have a Wayne Gretzky hockey game because clearly America can't get enough hockey. That's why there's been such a public uproar about the NHL lockout. Oh, wait. No, there hasn't.
No. Plus, we review the latest installment in the shooting series that influenced games from Unreal to Halo.
And last but not least, the biggest platformer this year, other than Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal. It turns out to be not a platformer anymore. That's right. We have a review of the new Grand Theft Auto style Jak 3.
But we begin with a game that was a huge arcade hit back in the late 80s, and now it's on the Xbox. Here's our review of Outrun 2.
The women in this game are horribly abusive, and I have to be honest, I've never really understood the logic of hitting the driver to make him drive better.
You don't get that?
No.
Well, it is nice to know that domestic abuse isn't limited to the home anymore.
Oh my God, that's great.
I know.
Of course, Outrun 2 gives you one set course to drive, but other games do offer more open-ended racetracks.
Like the ATV Off-Road series. Yes, all-terrain vehicles are terribly dangerous in the real world, but in video games you can crash them without the loss of life or limb.
And now that the game is online, there is limitless potential for causing simulated debilitating accidents with friends from all over the world.
Wow.
Here's our review of ATV Off-Road Fury 3.
Well,
Really is too bad that the camera cuts away at the end of the crashes, because I would appreciate it if it lingered a little longer on the driver's crumpled form. It reminds me of my youth.
you rode ATVs?
No, I fell down a lot. Usually there's a hammer. It was like this. Ow!
That explains some
Ow!
Morgan Webb!
We're still right here.
things. Yeah.
Oh, God. We're still right here.
Welcome back to Xplay. As all of you know, I like first-person shooters. I like Halo and Unreal and Far Cry and Quake, and those are all games that make Adam throw up a little. Yeah.
But would we have games like Halo and Unreal without the first-person shooter that pioneered vehicle-based multiplayer team combat?
He speaks of Tribes, the legendary series that debuted in 1998 with Star Siege Tribes. Now, back in the day, you could play with 64 people on the game, and it never lagged.
Now there's a new Tribes game for the PC, and, well, you can't play with 64 people at a time anymore.
Boo!
The single player has been vastly improved. It now exists.
Yes, it's beautiful. Here's our review of Tribes Vengeance. It just sucks that you can't play with 64 people anymore. And when the game first came out, it owned online shooting. Now with games like Halo 2 and Unreal Tournament 2004, the master has become the student.
Of course, we still can't get enough of the ragdoll physics. There's just something oddly beautiful about bodies flying gracefully through the air.
Or maybe that was because we had the 1812 Overture playing in the background. Classical music and hot death is a winning combination. Just ask opera fans.
Don't leave.
Please?
Really, because later in the show we have the game people are calling Grand Theft Jak and Daxter. That would be Jak 3.
Oh yeah, and Wayne Gretzky. I'm sure someone cares about that.
Not me.
Right? No.
Wrestler and Morgan Webb!
Neither can I.
Welcome back to Xplay.
Later in the show, we have the latest game in the popular Jak and Daxter series. And if you thought Jak 2 was dark for a game about a guy and his cuddly sidekick, wait till you get a load of Jak 3.
But first, a sport that few people seem to care about these days. Hockey.
Now, we almost forgot that there isn't any hockey this year because of the NHL lockout.
And we weren't alone. With quality hockey games out there like ESPN NHL 2K5, you hardly need the real thing anymore.
Of course, not all hockey games are created equal. Sure, ESPN NHL 2K5 is really good, and EA's NHL 2005 is pretty okay, but in the past, the NHL Face-Off series has been rancidly awful.
So much so that the series skipped the entire 2004 season and changed the title of the game to get a nice, fresh start. Did it work?
Find out in a review of Gretzky NHL 2005.
Eh oui, oui, oui. Hockey is for me.
Darling Canadian viewers, I swear that crude stereotype of a Canadian was played by an actual Canadian. Don't be hating.
I mean, you could tell by his hat.
Yeah.
Thank God there was finally a hockey game now with classic jerseys. My life is complete. Pass the hemlock.
Clearly, the developers want Gretzky to be the Madden of hockey games. Too bad it's terrible.
Oh, being terrible has never stopped anyone from succeeding. Look at Creed or Clay Aiken.
Or us.
Oh, God, yeah.
Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb!
So do I. I love those people like I love myself. Not very much.
Welcome back to Xplay. We have come to the biggest game review of the show.
And what a long strange trip it's been for the Jak and Daxter series.
Now, it started with the release of the first Jak and Daxter in 2001. And back then, it was a straight-up platformer.
By the time the sequel came out in 2003, the name had changed to Jak 2, and the game had become much darker and much more weapon-based, like Ratchet & Clank.
See, now with the release of Jak 3, the focus has changed again, and this time there's more emphasis on freeform racing and driving.
We like the previous installments, but how does this one hold up?
We'll find out when we review Jak 3 for the PS2.
Cool.
Now, of course, if you want a better cartoony action title, we loved Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal. It's one of the best games of the year, and it got a 5 out of 5.
It did get a 5 out of 5, but really, honestly, I'd say get both of these. They're two very different games. Now, if you're not the most experienced platformer player, I would not recommend Jak 2. That game, I think I had 3 aneurysms playing it.
3?
Brain aneurysms.
Yeah,
I get heart aneurysms from other things.
That's good for you.
Yeah.
But a lot of these games aren't really platformers
Yeah,
anymore.
they're not. They've changed. Even Ratchet & Clank, there is some jumping in it, but it's not complete
Mostly
jumping.
shooting.
They're third-person character-driven action games.
That's a terrible name for them.
I know, but I don't work in marketing.
Good night.
Sessler and Morgan Webb.
Hello and welcome to Xplay, the show that brings you brutally honest game reviews.
Today we have our review of the biggest PS2 game of the year, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Now you've heard the hype, you've heard the controversy. Now it's time to find out if the game is actually any good.